Good evening, my friends. I am back tonight with another ink pen. I'm hoping the little ones go to sleep. They're still kind of being a little difficult, so you may hear them in the background, but hopefully they should be going to bed soon. Oh dear. But such is parenting, especially with itty bitty kids. But anyways, I am back. We'll see how long we go tonight. I'm kind of in the I'm trying to work up. We went out to dinner. It was very good, but I'm definitely got into that very settled, full, want to turn in for the evening feeling. But I'm here, so we'll see how long I go. But it may just be a very chill, short stream, but we'll see what we can do. I don't really have a whole lot of plans for what I'm going to be doing. I was trying to think of it, and like I said, I didn't last night because I was actually planning initially to turn in earlier because we had, the second week of swimming lessons with the girls bright and early in the morning. And I ended up staying up late anyway, getting the other little clothes in the wash because we ran out of towels, and obviously really needed more towels. So I ended up staying up later last night than I was intending to in the first place. That was one thing. Or the night before, really. Because first night was Tuesday of the swimming lessons. Now to figure out what we're going to be doing now. Probably another landscape. I'm thinking. I'm just trying to think exactly what I feel like doing. I may just try to do like another kind of foggy, misty morning. I'll try to do a light sky gradient, and that'll be a good place to start, I think. Let's get our paper a little bit damp. I still need to go out and get brushes from the hardware store, I really do. Those big wide ones. They'd make this go a lot faster because you're covering more area, and B, it'll be a lot smoother because it'll be more evenly spread out over a large area. We'll start with this and see where we go. Ink here. Like I said, we'll just try to work on doing excuse me. It's very light sky gradient. Anything to practice. I don't want to go too. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it always is more. I'm thinking it is by the time put it down. The black can be so strong. Like I said, green will just go very gentle gray. That'll work alright. I think. You probably can't even see it on the paper at this point. It's very light, which is good. It's not coming out as strong as I was fearing it would, because you put like a single drop of black down and then go to dilute it, and then you always feel like there should be more black. You're forgetting just how strong India ink can be by the time you put it down. It can be a very hard black. So you don't want to go, you can always add more later, you can't always take away what you've already put down. So while it is very, very, very faint, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, the problem is now waiting in between drying, because now I'm already running into soggy paper territory. I don't really want to go there. That'll give me time to think about what I want to do. Like I said, we might, as far as tonight, might do another just kind of very moody, foggy, more type landscape. I always like those for just putting down interesting tree shapes. Probably more bare trees going on, but like I said, tree shapes are very, very interesting. And you get to see those certain times of the year. You don't see it the rest of the time. Obviously with all the leaves. But yeah. I'll admit, I am having a little bit of a hard time. It's July, but I'm still running into that want it to be fall, spooky season type feeling. I'm bad for that. Any of you who have watched for a while who know me, I am all about the autumns and Halloween season and spooky season, very moody, autumnal feelings there. Sorry, trying to get down some water here. And then slightly dehydrated as well. Especially after the pool, it's always hard to keep track of. You lose track of how dehydrated you actually are, because you know the water, but it's not like you're drinking any of it. Anyway, that aside, but no, so it's hard. I like putting on like background music on during the day, and I'm a big fan of like the ambient noise, kind of like the lo-fi slow jazz thing, just as relaxing, background stuff. And I have gravitated towards my usual go-to ambient of like crunchy fall leaves and spooky rainy days, and it's like, it's bad because I do live in that season a little bit. It's not nearly that time yet, and I do enjoy summer, I really do, but I get those feels, It's kind of as the first kind of like, almost the minute the temperature drops a little bit and then it's a rainy day on top of it, it definitely puts me in that frame of mind. The very autumnal frame of mind. I drive my husband nuts. Which is kind of even funnier considering my husband is a pastor, and we have a school attached to our church, and one of the teachers there is very much a Christmas all year round person. Like, she's one of those Christmas nut type people where every day is Christmas, there's perpetual Christmas decoration, and I'm the kind of like sort of the same, not quite as bad, I don't think. I could be. But my season is Halloween, so we kind of have this little, occasionally we'll have these little Facebook battles where we'll post stuff back and forth to each other of just Halloween versus Christmas. She knows me, or at least knows my husband enough, and she's seen me enough that we kind of jib a little bit about that. And we know neither one of us are serious. So we have fun with it a little bit. The Christmas person versus the Halloween person.
Easter's the best.
Yes, it always is. As far as the church calendar years, absolutely. Do not get me wrong. I adore Easter and Lent. Huh?
No. It's the Red War within that too.
Yeah, I know.
Christmas, I want Easter.
I know. Which I'm for Easter. Let's be honest. By the time winter's over, I'm begging for spring. And one of my favorite seasons of the entire church here is Lent, going into Holy Week and Easter. Absolutely, hands down, without a doubt. That even trumps Halloween for me. Every other time of the year, when it's outside that time frame and we're past spring already and we're getting halfway through summer, I'm bad. You can ask him. The pumpkin stuff comes out already. I start sneaking those colors in. Like I said, that's already, my daytime ambient playlist has already snuck into the realm of rainy fall day, leaf crunching, spooky Victorian town ambient background music noise playlist. So, yeah. Like I said, I'm bad. Oh, it's hard because I did have to shake this up a little bit so now I've got air bubbles in there.
Hard to get out of the dropper now.
And this is why I put down paper towels on the drafting table. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so the hard thing is just waiting now for that paper to dry more. If it's a little streaky, I'm not that worried, because like I said, it will give it a little more the foggy, muted day. I don't want to go hard black like it's nighttime, because I really don't want to do another night type scape, but I do want just kind of that very filtered, very muted sky from like fog or sheet clouds, you know. Very kind of moody atmosphere, but still daytime. Mostly because I really don't want to monkey around too much with putting on the white ink anymore. That was, I'll be honest, even just doing a few little highlights for the thunderstorm one, it was a little hard getting off that white ink. Because it has to be, and I get it, because it is thick. I mean, this stuff won't even come out of the dropper like this. So this is very viscous as compared to your just straight black India ink. Because this has to be opaque. And like I said, when I did last year, when I did the test between the two brands, and this one won out for me, this one was very, very opaque, like at least twice as thick and potent as the other brand of white ink. So I did find out once it dries on the nib, it is very, very hard to get off. It's a lot harder to get off than just trying to rinse off the brushes. So I am kind of avoiding this because I'm really not in the mood to clean off more white ink from any more brushes or pens. I'm just not in the mood to try to scrape off white ink, so after it's dried, which it dries very quickly. So I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to avoid putting too many highlights in any more than I am absolutely necessary. So tonight is probably going to be very chill, very relaxed one, because it's kind of the mood I'm in right now. And I'll admit some degree of laziness in the fact that I don't want to have to clean this more opaque ink off my brushes tonight. Or deal with any further color palette than just black and watered down more black. So I think that's good where it's at. I'll let that dry a little bit before I just want to put like the vaguest hints of like cloud shapes just to kind of further that foggy, low-hanging rain cloud look. So nothing too stark or pronounced, or obviously trying to stay far away from like the churning effect that I was trying to get with thunderstorm. I just want it to be very vague, so I really don't want to go on too strong and just not too many heavy lines. So let this kind of dry as is, just so it doesn't bleed out too much. I think that's the longest part about doing these streams. Just kind of like you have to take like longer breaks in between with doing the ink paintings, just to give the paper enough time to recover. Tonight probably I don't think I'll be able to go quite as long, at least where I'm feeling it, and it'll probably be very loose tonight. I'm not going to go. We're just going to have a good time, just kind of putzing on the paper and keeping everything very loose and fluid and nothing too structured, I think. Oops, sorry. Oh. Turning in my chair and I'm kicking the camera stand again. Oh, but no, I hope the rest of you have had a good first half of your week. Everyone's had at least a good start, good weekend previously. And even if it hasn't been the best half of the week, there's always a silver lining of the fact that it's halfway over. Yeah, that is still very damp. So that's a hard thing, especially when you're going with like a lot of washes, because the ink is so diluted with so much water. It does not take much at all for it to just get to the saturated point. And that is kind of what makes these very hard. Sometimes it's almost the less ink you use, the harder it is to do, just because it does get so saturated, because it's mostly water you're working with. A lot of water and paper, not so much ink. If I could just so gently put in like my horizon line. Kind of rolling hills there. pardon me. Trying not to yawn too much. This is bad, we're only half an hour in. Like I said, tonight's a bit... I started out with a little more energy, and now I've just kind of... You know, it just kind of hit a wall in the evening, especially after we've had good food, and it's like... And it has been kind of a long day. I mean, just... It seems like the morning, I mean, not in a bad way. I mean, honestly, it has been good. Went to the pool, had a good couple, you know, at least an hour swimming about. The girls did a swimming lesson, which they loved, and they all had fun. But it's like, then the girls, you can tell when they've played harder than what you'd even think they did in the pool, because they just come home. By the time we get all home and dried off, and then everyone's punking on the couch, it does kind of shift the day around, I'll be honest. I mean, even if it doesn't seem like that much, it's like it does shift your day forward, and you got to rework the schedule a little bit, and it's a little bit of chaos. So that's, and like I said, they've just been so tired, even trying to persuade them into a nap in the afternoon. They just had a really good hearty day of just running around so much. They were just so tired. And then when they get tired enough, then they get cranky, and then they kind of butt heads a little bit. So you can always tell when they get really tired. It's like that's when everyone's done with everybody else. Which is good. I think they finally settled into bed, though. It's always hard when you hit that kind of that squirrely time when little kids get so tired they almost get more energetic. But it's like that doesn't last long. That's like the rocket burnout period. It's brilliant when it happens, but doesn't last very long, and then there's nothing. So I think they finally kind of wore themselves out enough. They're out. Hopefully they sleep well tonight, because we got one more day. It's 3 days a week. We do swimming class, so tomorrow morning we have swimming again. Which reminds me, I need to get the next load of clothes into the dryer tonight as well, which is another reason why I'm probably not going to be able to be on that long, between just wanting to kind of have chill time for myself, but then also getting ready for the next morning. And making sure everybody's stuff is in order for heading out the door in the morning. Which includes extra towels for drying off and change of clothes by the time we get home. The whole process begins again. Not so much, because like I said, tomorrow's their last day of the week. It's only 3 days a week, but I think we're going to put our eldest back into the next class. Anyway, it's been fun times. Good summer fun. They've had fun, but it has been tiring. A little bit. A little bit darker. The clouds are a little further up there. It's always hard because, like, I know part of it. It's just, I'm trying not to oversaturate the paper, but I'm, like, real timid about putting too much ink on, because, like I previously said, it's always easier to put more on than take off. Especially with India ink, because once it is dry, it's pretty much permanent. You really can't wash it away, which makes it a good choice for painting, because once it dries, then you have to worry about it bleeding once you put more water on. Now, once it's dry, it's pretty much set, but at the same time, yeah, just makes it a little more, gets you a little more mindful about how much you put on. So you don't want to put on too much. Bless you, hon. That's sneezing in the background.
Right.
You're fine. He is my mod. I can't let it get mad with him. And my tech support guys. I really think. This one might be a stiffer, I think. Might do that and drop in once we dry out a little bit here. Start dropping in some thin trees in the background. I kind of have like the distant hills and the horizon, distant tree line kind of dabbed in there. Just waiting in between for paper to dry it a little bit, because especially when we get to dropping in trees, we want those trunk and branch lines to be nice and crisp and defined. I don't want them to end up bleeding out and blurring out into the background, which will happen if the paper's still too damp. The water that's in the paper will absolutely spread out the ink, and that's what I do not want. Yeah, that is still very damp. Like I said, it's one of those times I wish I had like a littler fan just to dry this out quicker. But at the same time, I know it'll blow on my little ceramic ink palette, and that will be a mess. Because like I said, the indie ink, it's nice. It mixes well with water, very well. However, once that does hit a point where it starts to dry, it will separate from the water. Like, you'll start seeing like little skins of dried ink floating on top of the water. And that's what you don't want. Because it is it's water soluble, but it's waterproof once it's dried. Which is nice that you can, once the ink is dried, then you can put almost as many washes as the paper will stand over it, and it will not spread out and it will not bleed. But it also means that it will come to a point when the water starts to evaporate and the ink starts to get dry, it will separate from each other. Your ink washes will become tinted water with flakes of writing floating on top of it. It's not good. Not what we want. So that's why I kind of don't put down any ink prior to going on. It is really, I mix and put it out at the very last minute just to get that longevity before it starts drying out. But then it's just, like, now it's the waiting game. I'm going to wait for the paper to dry out a little bit more. We're getting there, but it's still a little damp. But we only just put that down. That's the hard thing, because now it's like, I want to get it done. I mean, it's fun to do. It's a very relaxing part, because it does kind of force you to stop and take a breath and then put the next piece down. However, like I said, I am kind of trying to beat the clock between my own tiredness at this point. And I would like to be able to get this at least done before I have to sign out. Because ideally, I would like to finish an entire ink pan. However, like I said, still kind of keeping it loose. We're not going to be too worried about details and all that. It's a fun, relaxing piece and good practice. Because like I said, it had been a while since I'd ink painted last. But at the same time, I don't want to end up being on too long, because I'm not going to be able to get what I need to get done tonight to be ready for bright and early tomorrow morning, and also get kind of the chill time that I need for myself. I think we're just about, yeah, we're good. This is pretty much very dry. I'm just going to go in and try to make a very fine point. Not with a straight black, because I just want to put in some very fine trees, shapes in the background. Just so the backlandscape isn't entirely devoid of bigger trees or so you kind of have the homogeneous tree line right at the horizon, or at the ridge horizon there. You want to at least drop in a few, like, individual good-sized trees. And give them a little bit of foliage. kind of like it the way it is, honestly. It's very simple. I do kind of want to put like one more thin little tree here. I think I originally did have in mind like a little bigger tree. But I think another like little kind of that would be good. Oh, hey! Welcome, Ghosts of Reality. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Hope you're having a good evening. Like I said, tonight's just kind of a short, chill night because it's been somewhat busy week, and then I've kind of hit my wall of tired for this evening. So I'm not super energetic. So I thought tonight was another good night to just kind of chill and do a little relaxing ink painting. I did another one last week that was a little more involved, but yeah. But anyway, thank you very much. Always appreciated. Hope you enjoy your time here. Yeah. Especially, I got 2 little kids, so and we've had a busy week of being at the local pool, so, for swimless, that tires everybody out. And then also, because it's in the early morning, it kind of shifts everything in the day over later, because you have that going on, so it's like, and I had a very good supper. We went out to eat tonight, so, full stomach of good food, and then, after a busy day, and kind of me hitting my wall, it's how it goes. It's how it goes sometimes, but no, thank you. I am here. I've also started a YouTube channel for kind of just, for right now, just kind of archiving all my past streams so they're up later. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Discord, so good times. Need some $4. Oh wow, so I bet you are tired out then. That is a full docket. Well, I hope you're having a good evening now. I hope you're getting some time to kind of breathe a little bit. I'll probably be wrapping up before long here. I've already started yawning. Like I said, it really is. Ink painting is a very relaxing project for me. It's something I can just kind of unwind with, and that is also a good and a bad thing. It's always an easy subject to tackle on a day where I'd feel less than energetic on a stream. On the downside, it also puts me even more relaxed mood, and I get even tired. So, here we go. Also, yeah, and that's what I mean by quick drying inks. I already have some of my darker palettes dried up. I have to add more ink. Oh. I think I'm just going to be working on the last tree here, just kind of framing the landscape. Because I have the thinner tree here, I'm going to put another tree there, and I think I'm going to call it an evening. So it's kind of like it's a very foggy, light diffuse meadow. Here, this is what I'm doing. Sorry about that. So you know it's summertime. You try to have the windows open as much as possible just so the air doesn't run, but then at the same time, Then you get little visitors from outside coming in. Which is kind of irritating when you have some of the brightest lights focused in one spot in the room, so of course they all congregate here. Whenever I have my lights going for the drafting table. You know, I said I wasn't going to get any of the white ink out, but I might. Thinking I might. Might have to with the other tree. I might have to drop some highlights in there somewhere. How they used to do it, that was not crazy about people watching. Oh, the streaming? Or just doing art on there? Sorry if I missed that. Like I said, there are points where I kind of get zeroed in. So sometimes I do end up missing chat. I will say it's a whole different ball game. I started doing this, I think almost 2 years ago now. Will it have been 2 years? 1 year? 2 years? No? Yeah, almost 2 years. Time flies. It is very different doing it for yourself than trying to videotape it. Or, you know, screwing up, showing my age there. Videotape, it seems like an age ago. And then I remember it kind of is. I grew up in the 90s, don't judge me. Yeah, I'd always dabbled in art. I've always done some form of art pretty much all my life. I'm mostly self-taught. I've done some courses here and there, but they've all been like correspondence, self-guided type things. Just never really had the time or the money that demanded going away to the college. I just felt like the college atmosphere just wasn't for me either. So a lot of it's been trial by fire, trial and error work, so. Mostly I do pencils, but I do a lot of ink. Did calligraphy a while ago. Did a lot of that, but it has been a while. I need to get back in the practice of doing that. Part of this is even just a discipline to make sure I practice as I ought in my own craft. And then just sharing it. Particularly when, 2020 rolled around. I used to do a lot of art shows and have a booth with stuff to sell, but then with stuff being closed down, that kind of put a kibosh on all my usual like fairs and shows that I tried to do. So and it's like, well, and then I kind of languished in it, in between little kids and life changing. It's like it always is hard to kind of squeeze in time, energy, and motivation from that. So this has kind of been a good discipline for me, starting doing the streaming things. We don't run a very sophisticated operation here, but it works. It works for what I do, and I'm content with it. I've gotten to meet a lot of cool people that I normally would not have. Until I'm getting to the end of the night is usually when I start running into my palettes drying up, when everything starts looking real messy. On the side you can't see, which is like the 2 tray tables I've set up with like all my brushes and inks and whatnot. It's like everything. I start out very well organized in the evening, and then it's like I should like install a cam. Like people can check back how the progression of how disorganized the art supplies become over the course of the evening, because that's always something that happens. I try, and it never stays that way. Or maybe not. Maybe I won't need to. Maybe I'll decide after it dries for a while if I need to fill in highlights later. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid that tonight, just because I'm not in the mood to clean it. Because the white can be very opaque. This stuff is very viscous as compared to the regular black ink, because this will absolutely cover the black, which is nice. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do. However, once it dries, it becomes very hard to clean off, especially with... I did a thunderstorm one, and I drew in some lightning with the white after I put in all my blacks and just went over with white highlighting. And just trying to scrape off the dried white ink from my pen nib took a little while. It was not entirely a fun process. And because the pen nibs, and by that I mean like little metal tips, usually used for calligraphy, especially the very thin ones, are so delicate. I mean, you can bend the little tines in them so easily, and then it's ruined. They'll never go back to the way they were if you bend them. And then you're pretty much, you've messed one up and you have to discard it. It's not fun. And so cleaning them is always so dicey sometimes, especially when I really have to work at getting something off of them. Because I'm always stressing about breaking a nib. It be like that. It really does. There are days. Especially when you get butterfingers like me, and I almost did. It was on camera. I almost did. I almost dropped an entire palette tray, and it was almost very bad. Because when I paint, I primarily, like I said, mostly I do a lot of pencil. Pencil is my primary, and then when I paint, it's usually acrylic. I've been getting back into it because I haven't actually touched my acrylics in a long time. This is another thing that's really nice about this, because it does force me to set aside, even if things don't quite go the way I want them, or if they're not entirely perfect, I've done it. But yeah, oh yeah. I caught it though. I pat myself on the back. And my spontaneous good luck that every once in a while appears. I did catch it, so nothing bad happened. That's why some of my favorite like lounge pants are like my tie-dye pants, and I say that because I could get paint on these pants and no one would know the difference. Because it's tie-dye, so it's meant to be there, right? Random splatters of paint, I don't know. But no, so that was almost having a heart attack, because I don't mind the pants, what I do mind is the carpet, because I am set up in my living room. That is my current filming studio art space, is just a corner of the living room. So I try to be as clean as I possibly can, because I don't want to get it around the rest of the room. Sometimes with limited success. think that's going to do me for tonight. I kind of like where it's at. Like I said, nothing too fancy or too elaborate, but I think it's a good piece. I like it. Like I said, I might still go back and try to dab a little bit of white on that trunk just to kind of separate it out from the horizon. But, I like it. And this was a good night. Thank you. Like I said, I'm pleased with it. Like I said, some of it's getting back because also realizing that the last time I'd done ink paintings was like last year, and it's like it's high time. It's time. I'd like to do more of the acrylic ones, especially playing with the color, but it's like I'm realizing where I need to get new paint. I really do, and I need to get new brush cleaner. Because I think my acrylic paints, when I pulled them out again, were very old, and despite the fact many of them held up far better than I would have ever thought, considering how long they'd sat in a box, they are showing their age a little bit. They're not the best consistency, so it's like, it's time to get new paint, and it's like, I'm almost out of them in the tube anyway. So I'm kind of waiting to do more acrylic until I get a chance to get some fresher paint. There we go. So I think that's going to about do it for me tonight. That's a good night. Just right now. Sometimes my schedule is a little up in the air. Friday, I'm not sure how I'll be. Good evening to you too. Like I said, Discord is usually the best place to find out, because I try to be Johnny on the spot about announcing when I'll be live and when I won't be when I'm calling it from that. But, so no, there's that. No, definitely. Yeah, and we share a bunch of fun stuff. I have people that share their art projects and jokes, and we talk games, because occasionally I'll even do like game nights, and we have good fun with that. Mostly it's art, that's my main focus, but every once in a while I pull out one of the games and we all have fun and we laugh and stuff like that. So there's that. Like I said, I'm also on YouTube, and mostly it's just where I repost live streams. I try to do that by the next day, but sometimes it takes me a couple days. Just depends on what I'm doing and when I get a chance to get all that together. But right now I'm just kind of mainly using as an archive to put past streams on, because Twitch, they kind of disappear after a week, so this way to keep them around longer. I would like to do more with that, but like I said, it depends on what's going on in my life at the moment. It does get busy and crazy. So there's that. I am also on Instagram, and that's where I post updates and fun posts. And mostly just recapping the projects I've done. So there's that. Like I said, Discord is usually the best way to see. I try to keep, obviously, my Twitch schedule updated, but every once in a while, if I miss on that, it'll definitely be up on the Discord. And there's other stuff going on as well. So, but thank you for coming in. Thank you so much for the follow. I so much appreciate it. And for chatting and all that. It's very good of you. Nice to meet you. And I think that will I will call it for tonight. And hopefully, if I don't end up seeing you down on Friday, I will be around next week. Have a good evening. As always, much love. God's blessings to you all, and thank you so much for all of your love and support. And one called for your patience when my life gets crazy. But with that, good night.